Hi, Chad.
How's it going, Betsy?
Great. How are you?
Wonderful, wonderful.
Right at the top of the 12:30, 11:30,
Right.
depending upon where you're sitting.
Got people flowing in. Thank you for joining,
Yeah.
everybody.
I'd say we give everyone about one more minute and then we could get it kicked off.
Perfect.
How hot is it where you are right now?
We're sitting mid 90s and it's just getting started.
Nashville the other day was over 100, but down where we are, it's only 85, but it
My
feels like
goodness.
100. Feels like 100. All right. What do you say? 30 more seconds and we'll get this started?
Sounds great. And if everybody just wants to drop where they're at in the chat, that'd be super helpful for me so I know where in the world we're signing on from.
And to that end, also, if you have any questions, I'll be monitoring the chat while Chad and I are talking. So feel free to raise your hand and ask any questions. This is an open conversation between us and as well as everyone who's on the call today. So can you hear me okay, Chad?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, well, I say we get started.
Let's kick it off.
We got some people from Canada, New Jersey, got it all. All right, so the goal, welcome everyone. I'm Betsy Weissman, the Chief Marketing Officer here at HubSync. And I'm joined today by Chad, who is our Senior What is wrong with me today? Senior Product Manager. And the goal of today's webinar is to talk about CPA firms, client success, focusing on three real core areas: engagement letters, data collection, and deliverables. Again, I said I'm joined today by Chad. He has been here, is it almost a year now, Chad?
Yeah, we're coming up on a year.
Coming
That's
up
right.
in a year. Attended University of Kansas. And I think we all are wondering how you went from petroleum engineering to accounting.
Yeah, so my wife's a CPA, so I make the joke all the time. I love the accounting industry so much, I had to marry one of you guys. During my days as an engineer, obviously very system oriented, automation oriented, and I was hearing what my wife was doing in the Big Four and all the manual processes and legacy technology that she was having to deal with. So we very quickly realized, some of these things I had been doing on the engineering side applied very well to accounting. So we started a consulting company together, which she still runs and is doing very, very well, helping firms optimize their processes. I found myself far more interested in the actual software, so I wanted to join some builders like HubSync, and the rest is history. I've been doing accounting tech for about 6 years now, mainly focused on practice management, file sharing, kind of that whole gamut of client experience. And I aligned very well with what was going on here at HubSync. And as Betsy mentioned earlier, I joined the team about a year ago, and we're continuing to just march on according to John's vision regarding client experience and that end-to-end automated process that can make the life of your client much better, which also has the side effect of making the life of the firm better and the team better. So really exciting journey so far, and looking forward to the next 10 years.
HubSync is lucky to have you with the expertise and the passion that you bring. So HubSync is lucky to have you.
No, well, thank you, Betsy.
We only have 25 more minutes. Let's just dive right in.
Yeah.
Again, we talked about focusing on three core areas: engagement letters, data collection, and deliverables. And let's just kick it off right now with kind of the engagement letters, and I'll just throw some questions your way, and we can have this kind of open dialogue. So tell us today how, in your experience with clients, how firms are, what they're doing to simplify their process, not necessarily what we're doing here at HubSync, although of course we'll touch upon that, but what you're seeing in the market, how they're creating and managing engagement letters today.
Yeah. So
what's typical, and let's just kind of focus on the top 200 firms.
Yeah. So before even diving into how they're making things simpler or better, I think it's better just to take a step back and say, what's broken or what's not quite right in the situation today or in their processes today. And what we see a lot of is a massive number of templates across various different departments within the firm, so or areas of practice. So whether that's audit, CAS and advisory, or tax, they can have dozens of templates that are contained, in Microsoft Word with merge fields. So there's just a massive sprawl of those templates. There's uncertainty about what versions are being used, who's got the latest. So that's led to several problems for firms from a legal perspective, and then just the day-to-day as a member in the firm, making, confidently knowing that you're sending out that latest engagement letter. And then on top of that is just the ability to track, what has been signed, what has come in the door, what has not, where are we at? So just that top level analytics that you get on top of, having everything in a centralized location, which we'll get to later. And then another one is just the back and forth with the client. As you're working towards coming to an agreement on that engagement letter, there's various rounds of review, not only internally, but also with the client, and simplifying that entire process, kind of taking it out of email, creating something that's more standardized. That's really where we see a lot of those problems, is kind of in those three fundamental areas. So then going back to what you asked earlier, Betsy, about what do firms actually do to improve this or, simplify these processes. I can just kind of take it from the top. So the first one obviously is get all those templates in one place. One modern technology that is purpose built for contract lifecycle management. You're going to have your templates there. That data is actually going to all flow in from a database that's got the client data inside of it. So you're not having to rely on Microsoft, merge mail or something crazy like that. Just get everything in one place. And I think a lot of times, once it's all in one place, you realize maybe we don't need all these templates, right? Maybe some of these templates can be more flexible, and we can have pieces of content that exist in multiple templates, and we can actually consolidate down into just, a handful of templates that make, life easier for the firm. And beyond that, once you're in that, kind of central location, everything's in one place. The partners, the managers, the other team members are all confident that the latest and greatest templates being sent to the client is just having it be a experience that aligns with everything else that they're doing with your firm. So, if they've got client portals and multiple signing applications and, things are coming through email, that is not a good experience, guys. Your clients today expect an Amazon-like experience. I think I've heard Paul call it a couple times, like a one-stop shop for your client, or a single pane of glass that your client can work with you and your firm. And that first point of contact is that engagement letter. They're coming in, they're deciding if they want to work with you and your firm. And if that experience isn't good, it's not that they're necessarily not going to work with you guys. It just raises question marks on your maturity as a firm and the rest of the experience post engagement letter. So that's really a big one from the client experience perspective. And then second, the third thing we talked about was just the analytics that we're able to get from those engagement letters once it's all in a centralized location or coming from a central system. We can drill in and see by office who's getting engagement letters signed, what's the status, by partner, by functional group within the firm. There's a dozen different ways you can slice and dice that data just to get a little bit more intel on how your acceptance percentage is on those engagement letters. And we can get those engagement letters back on time and on schedule. And we don't have engagement letters sitting out there waiting to be signed forever. So that's just a few of the kind of higher level areas that we've seen firms improving their processes, not just with HubSync, but just in general, using more modern technology instead of relying on Microsoft Word and email, or God forbid, the wet signature and, they're mailing it in, things like that. Because we still see that. It's surprising, but it still happens, definitely.
Something you said reminds me of something an early manager said to me, which was how you do one thing is how you do all things, right?
That's
So
right.
if a client's first experience around engagement letters is cumbersome, burdensome, print, scanned, and whatever it might be, and that's indicative of how maybe all
It
things
sets the
happen. So,
tone.
yeah,
It sets the tone.
Exactly.
We've all done this. It's not just accounting firms, anybody you work with, whether it's a professional service or whether it's, going and getting your car's oil change. If that first interaction with that provider of, the service or the product is poor or kind of substandard based on what you're kind of expecting, it just sets a bad tone, guys. So it's
Yeah.
really easy to approve that from the top.
Yeah, absolutely. So how about sharing then or kind of a real world example of a firm you've worked with that use technology and or HubSync to improve their onboarding experience or their overall client experience? Do you have some sort of
Yeah,
example to share
absolutely.
with the team?
Absolutely. I've got one that jumps very easily to my mind. We had a firm that was sending out tens of thousands of engagement letters on paper. They were sending a physical copy and they were getting a wet signature back. Tens of thousands, guys. You can just imagine what that
The
tracking was
cost.
like.
Oh, man, the cost.
The personnel cost, the cost of time for your client to be like, oh my God, I gotta, sign this thing, I gotta scan it, I'm gonna email it in, maybe I'm mailing it back to the firm, maybe I'm uploading it to a portal. It was just crazy the amount of different areas that this signed engagement letter could end up coming back to the firm. And what we were able to do with HubSync, and again, there's other platforms out there, but I'll speak directly to what we were able to do with HubSync. It was a push of a button over the weekend, and we were seeing the majority of engagement letters signed by that next week. So I mean, it was just an amazing performance from the adoption of the client, and then also just an improvement above and beyond what they had been used to the previous busy season with those paper versions of that. And not only just getting it signed and back more quickly, they were able to say very confidently who had signed and who had not signed, by office, by partner, by location, kind of that same kind of those different dimensions that we talked about earlier on the data side.
So there was subjective success as well as objective money saved, time saved, etc.
Exactly.
Yeah. This is related but not related. I'm on vacation this week and I had to print something, send it to the IRS. I had to ship it, send it to the FedEx, drive 20 minutes, get it printed. It's such a hassle.
It's huge hassle.
It's
Huge hassle.
So, all right, let's move into data collection. We only have,
Great.
I got to follow our, look at our time.
Yeah.
Again, data collection, I think everyone knows the pain of data collection where maybe they are today or where they used to be. What can firms implement today to improve the experience, ensure compliance, accuracy, et cetera? There's a lot of tools out there, right?
That's right.
What can someone do today, or at least start to look into today? Because that is a painful, everyone knows the shoebox of receipts, right? Everyone knows.
That's right.
No one wants to do that. We're way past that. What strategies can someone implement today or start to look to today?
Guys, you got to get them going to one place. It goes to that one-stop shop. Think about everything that your client needs to do for you and what they need to provide to get their return done, or any other service as well. Whether it's related to CAS or advisory, there's some sort of data collection or audit with PBC. There's some sort of data collection that takes place. Give them one spot to go to. Don't send them an email with a PDF checklist and some bullet points on the documents from last year. Don't have multiple client portals that they're having to log into, by service, and they're not sure which one to go to. Just give them one place to go, task oriented, modern user interface. Because guys, today it matters. It matters. It can't just be, relying on them and hoping that it happens. Have them come to one place. Make sure there's reminders. Reminders are huge. I cannot overstate the reminders. I know it seems obvious. A lot of folks don't do it, guys. They send that one message that, hey, I need this. And then they don't hear from their accountant again that there's something missing until they're trying to prep the return and they realize that something is missing. So just make it easier for you, make it easier for your team, and most importantly, make it easier for your client. And just always be on top of them with what you need. Kind of reduce that client chase on the source document side, on that organizer, that big old PDF organizer that nobody ever wants to fill out. Put that into a digital format right there next to the digital file uploads. Let them fill it out in a modern form-based application where they can give you the answers that you need. And then you've got that data digitized at that point. And there's a lot of, we'll talk about this later. There's a lot of points of integration behind that process then that you can leverage whenever it's not on paper or not coming in through email or not coming in through multiple applications. It unlocks a lot of workflow improvements for you on the operational side of actually preparing that return as well. So kind of it always for me goes twofold, Betsy. There's the client experience and really thinking about how do we make this a good experience for that client. And then there's the impact on the team. How does it improve their experience? We're all very familiar with this talent shortage in accounting. To keep people interested in being with your firm, you must be not necessarily on that bleeding edge, but on the leading edge of technology. You guys got to give your team the best tools to get the job done, and it's going to allow them to work on higher and best use things for their time. So instead of focusing on sending a manual email to someone saying, "Hey, I need that W-2 from last year," let the system do it. Let an application take care of that for you.
So, obviously we have a product that solves some of these needs. The idea is really on this webinar is just to provide information, but if you had to say how our product differentiates or solves some of these problems, would be like top 1 to 3 points that you'd want to make.
Everything in one place is absolutely the number one point. We go back to that engagement letter wizard or the engagement letter process earlier. Later on, we'll talk about delivering the actual return in the 8879. And then that third one, we've got all of the collection of the documents as well. Give that client one place to go to take care of all of their tasks related to tax preparation or whatever service they're working with your firm on. So that's going to be the number one thing that HubSync brings. And then we also just bring deep industry expertise here at HubSync that I don't see elsewhere. We know exactly what your client needs in what you guys need from your client in an organizer. We know what kind of purpose-built features that you need. There's previous year's documents that are locked up in that legacy tax software. We bring all that to the forefront to this portal so they know what did they upload last year. Make it easy for them. Don't make them guess. Don't make them look back at what they sent you last year in their zip file. Just make it easy. Just make it an easy experience. And HubSync does that incredibly well.
I would add our interface and our modern look, feel, use. There's not a lot of there's no training really needed. It's very modern.
Exactly.
Our founder John is super focused on UX, and I don't know. It's just easy.
You took the words from my mouth. John has a maniacal focus on UX, guys. He knows he knows what it takes. He knows what it takes in a good way, in the most positive way possible. He knows what it takes to create that smooth client experience, what the client expects to see. Guys, we're all customers of an accounting firm too. I do my taxes with a firm. Betsy and John do their taxes with the firm. We know what for lack of a better word, what sucks about that experience, and we bake all that in as well.
Okay, quick question in the chat. Interested in understanding how the data gets into the software, into our software. And I don't spend too much time on this, but just real quick, if you want to just kind of maybe give a high level as to how the data gets put into HubSync, gets integrated or exported.
Yeah, so there's kind of 2 dimensions to this. We actually pull data from the tax software. So we have native integrations, with the Thomson Reuters products, with the CCH products, and we're able to pull data into our system. So that's client information, information from last year, all of that data that they would expect to see to assist them in that data collection process. So they know what was uploaded last year, what was provided last year, and it makes that easy for them. And then on the other side of that, it's like, okay, well, now that we know what we need, how do we actually get that into the system? So we have a client portal functionality where the client is able to log in. They're able to see a form-based organizer, a digital organizer. I know that can be kind of a dirty word nowadays, but it's more or less just a form, if we want to call it that. And that's where we're able to input all of that data. So then all of that is stored in HubSync. We're able to look at the information from last year, and then we're able to actually push that data into the tax software as well. So it's a nice end-to-end process as far as the data collection goes. And same thing with the documents. They're able to upload the documents and the source documents and that same modern user interface. It's all right there next to the other textual data they might be providing. And it's just all in one place. I kind of continue to go back to that point that everything's just in one spot, one screen. They're able to get it done easily.
Got it. Okay, let's move on to deliverables because I'm, again, just being mindful of time. We had talked about how client deliverables and improving that is it's a win-win for everyone.
Yep.
So give a quick overview of how firms are improving today with the technology, what's available to them, how they deliver client-ready documents, tax returns, how they create them, how they deliver them. Just give an overview of what's happening today.
Can you imagine being sent a return that is 20,000 pages as a client and being expected to scroll through, see what you need to see, and then say, okay, yeah, I'm okay with this getting filed. Now I'll jump over to this other application and sign my 8879. Guys, if you want to talk about a bad client experience, that's the definition of it right there. So what we need to do is we need the ability to take out of this return exactly the information that that client is interested in seeing, and like a set of deliverables, basically. And instead of just sending them this massive PDF, we can actually break that up for you guys on an automated basis. And we can deliver to the client just the deliverables that they care about with a high level view of the information within those deliverables. So even if they don't want to open up that PDF, they just want to see from a high level, that's what clients are expecting nowadays. And again, it goes back, I won't beat the dead horse about the single experience, a single place. This all happens in one place again with HubSync. So just a little plug for us there. But they're able to just log in, see that data. It's self-service in the client portal. They can access the returns from last year, the data from last year. And we help short circuit a massive lift, and as far as personnel goes on the firm side as well, because we go back to that 20,000 page PDF. The firms know that's a problem. They have entire teams dedicated to breaking up those PDFs into more bite-sized chunks for the client. And we help just automate that entire process. And they're able just to, instead of being in there doing the tedious labor of breaking up a PDF, they're just able to be at a higher level. And it goes back to the highest and best use of your time. You're able to just know exactly what's being sent to the client. You know that it's the right information. Everything not relevant to them is stripped out, and they're able just to see exactly what they need. And on the, yeah, go ahead, Betsy.
Can you briefly touch upon security, confidentiality? It's very important for all this information that is being shared.
Yeah, absolutely. So any application, this is not just HubSync. If they don't have SOC 2 compliance, it should be a non-starter for your firm. That company does not protect your data, or they've not gone through the proof that they're protecting your data that they should. And you guys, any company owes that to you as a firm to give you that SOC 2 report. On top of that, a couple of things that you would want to ask about is, data at rest, data in transit. So we've got 256-bit encryption, bank level encryption, whatever you want to call it. So we go above and beyond on the data security side of things. And that's just, if you guys aren't able to get that from your existing provider, that's just a non-negotiable. You guys are indebted to your client to protect their data, and HubSync's a partner with our clients in that way as well.
Okay. Thank you. All right, let's move into kind of the last topic, which is an overall integrated client experience. You talked about everything needs to be a one-stop shop. We, of course, provide that modern interface. Are there a couple of things? Any key features to look for? We talked about security. We talked about ease, UX. What to look for, and then possibly if you could touch upon what these kind of like the client experience and kind of the one-stop shop, what we do to automate some of the workflows to improve a firm's efficiencies.
Absolutely. So guys, high level, what you need the ability to manage those engagement letters and get them signed in one place. You need to be able to request information in a form interface, like an organizer. You need to be able to request files securely, so that secure file sharing for source documents and things of that nature. And then going back to the electronic signature, you need to be able to get that 8879 signed or the other e-file auths at the state level signed with KBA. So that was kind of something I didn't mention earlier, was you got to have that knowledge-based authentication baked into the electronic signature process for 8879. And without those core features, you don't have a one-stop shop for your client. You're going to have to go out and get a point solution somewhere else, another login, another application, somewhere else for the client to go. And that just departs from that integrated client experience. So high level, that's what you guys need. What Betsy mentioned earlier about the modern UX or user interface or user experience, absolutely, it's a must-have. They expect it. They're used to being on Amazon and Netflix and applications like that give you a tremendously positive user experience. And your clients, they don't compare you to the firm down the street. They compare you to the other applications that are in their day-to-day life. And it's really important that you guys are up to date on that, on what they're expecting. And then another really popular one that's coming up is the mobile application. Meet your client where they are. They don't want to go to their desktop and log in on a browser. They want to open up their phone. They want to see your brand, your firm on a mobile application. And of course, at HubSync, we give you that. but that kind of goes back to another just high level feature that should be a requirement for a positive client experience. And then, as Betsy mentioned earlier, once we have all of that front end data collection, client experience, passing information back and forth, operational things happen in the firm as a result of all of those things. When the engagement letter gets signed, well, guess what? If they've never been a client before, they need access to a client portal. Once things get updated, somebody in the workflow needs to be notified that, hey, there's, the next action is required. Whenever someone signs their 8879, we need to know now, hey, we need to go file this with the, IRS. It's time to file this return. None of that is possible if all of that data is not in one location and integrated in with your core workflow management system, like that comes from the Thomson Reuters and the CCH. And with HubSync, you get that. So every action that takes place inside of your application or your client portal, you should have some integration back into your other core systems, keeping those up to date. And I would say that that's probably the number one value on top of all the analytics and everything like that, is just creating a clean system that doesn't require a ton of manual oversight, and manually updating things. So I would say that would be probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest, benefits long term of implementing modern technology that has open APIs and can be integrated together.
Something I hear, Chad, a lot is, or I've even seen experienced, is a firm throughout the years they signed up for this point solution, and then they signed up for this point solution and this one. Okay, so now they have all these different solutions that some work well, some don't. The 10 sign-ins, some are dated and they're not going to update it. And so here they are today, July 2024, and they're like, okay, I have 15 platforms. I gotta, where do I start? So that's very common. Oh, this will solve that
Yes.
problem. And then here come a firm like HubSync that's like, hey, wait. So I guess the question there is, what do you do if you're that firm who has a suite of platforms? Like, what do you start? Where do you start? And then how does HubSync, and we can finish this, I guess we have 3 minutes left. How does HubSync, we have 3 minutes just to answer this very complicated question. How do we fix that?
You're good.
How do we fix that?
Yeah, guys, it's a question of change management. What does your firm at that moment have time and bandwidth to fix, quote unquote? And then the other is make a priority of, and then Betsy, you just said it. The next step from there is looking internally. Where are the pain points existing? What are we hearing from the team? What are we hearing from our clients? What did we hear on a podcast that might be interesting to explore? What do we hear on webinars like this that might be interesting to explore? So it's just a constant balance between change management and prioritization, and really just driving towards, the highest ROI is an important one. So look for those really material processes that are costing the firm a lot of time. Let's see if we can squash those. And then over time, you can continue to consolidate. You can treat this client experience just like a product. It's something that you can iterate on. You don't have to jump in and change everything at once. You can pick the highest, most priority issue, get it fixed. Next tax season, we'll get the next one fixed and the next one fixed. And then over a couple.
Plug for HubSync, we can absorb some of these.
That's
some
right.
Of these we can integrate with.
That's right. You don't have to throw, you don't throw out the baby with the bathwater, right? Well, let's just get rid of the stuff that's really, really broken first, and we can just go from there. And it's very consultative, and it goes back to our team and our industry experience and our knowledge of these other platforms. We're your partner in that to really determine, where is the big pain, what can we fix, et cetera. So yeah, it's iterative is the answer.
This is all very informative. Do you have any parting words for we have a lot of people on this session today. Everyone, thank you for joining. Any parting words you'd like to share, in terms of how to improve their client experience today, or anything else you want to plug?
Yeah, I would just always keep an open ear to your client. At the end of the day, their happiness and how they're feeling about your firm is of paramount importance to your guys' profit levels and bottom line and top line at the end of the day. So just keep your ears open and be receptive to feedback. It's never personal. Your clients want you to have the best experience because it makes their life easier. So just like we do here at HubSync, listen to your clients. They've got some great ideas. And it's always good to hear it directly from them.
All right. If anyone has any questions that are on this call today, for myself or for Chad, feel free to drop it into the chat and we will definitely respond to you. And everyone, thank you for joining. We'll make some of this live post the rest of later this week. So thank you so much for joining. And Chad, thank you for your time and for your helpful
Yeah, thank you,
insights.
everybody. Appreciate
Thank
you
you.
joining.
Thank
See
you.
ya.
Bye. Bye, everyone.